Do you know the crown won't fit until you know who you are? This crown, I could put it on my head, but it doesn't make me who I am. This throne I'm sitting in doesn't make me a king. Everything changes and begins to fit when you find out who you really are. That's when things really change. That's when your life uplifts. So have you ever reached success and still felt empty, felt like you were alone, felt like nothing really happened? You might be winning in life, but losing yourself. And that's why your crown keeps slipping, because you can't wear the crown of kingship when you don't know the head that it belongs on. You're not burned out. You're just misarmed and mislabeled. Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Martin Williams. I help purpose-driven leaders discover, develop, and deploy their driven assignment so that they can reign in life without losing themselves. And I'm excited about this episode. I'm excited about what we're going to be talking about here, because everything I teach, whether it's wealth, leadership, and legacy, it all begins with this. Listen to me. Until you know who you are, you can't rule over anything else. Until you find out who you are, you're not a ruler. The ruler is not the crown. The ruler is not the throne, even though this is a really nice one that I'm sitting on. Makes me feel like a ruler, but I'm a ruler because I know who I am. I know where I belong. I know what I'm called to do and to whom I'm called. So the crown doesn't make you a king. The throne doesn't make you a king. Knowing who you are makes you the king. It's all about the king's code, and you need to be a part of this king's code, right? So let's get started. Part one, let's talk first in this king's code about you are not what you do. You're not what you do. You're not the title of a job description. That's not what you do. That's not who you are. I'm an analytics. So I'm an analyzer, or I'm a CEO, I'm a COO, or I'm a computer tech. You don't walk around with that on your name tag as being a computer tech. No, really knowing who you are changes everything. I really like this. When I read all these books behind me and other books, I really like to build a foundation using the Bible. And there's a guy in the Bible, his name was King Saul. But King Saul had issues. And sometimes we also have those identified issues. You're not what you do. Saul was called a king, but the main idea is this: your life is not your truth, right? That title is not your truth. You're in a position, but you are still a person. This king named Saul was anointed to be king, but he never became one in identity. He had the title, but he never became the personification of a king. He wore a crown, but lacked conviction. He was more loyal to people's approval than he was of God's approval and command over what he was king over. So he lost his kingdom because he never found himself. You ever thought like that? What kingdom are you losing because you haven't found yourself? Titles, careers, roles, all these things, costumes, those are not crowns. That's not something you're really crowned with. You're really crowned with honor when you know who you are. When the costume is removed, what remains is the real you. When you take the crown off or the robe off, or someone takes your throne, are you still the person? No, the throne is inside. It's not something you sit on. It's something that you have inside that leads you through life. So kingship isn't conferred by oil. It's confirmed by identity, right? The oil that's put on the king, the crown that's put on the king, a robe that's put on the king, the throne the king sits on, it's just it's the trappings. It lets everybody know that you are a king, but you don't operate as a king until you know yourself. Here's something I'd like for you to think about. Ask yourself this question: if my title disappeared, would my confidence disappear too? If someone took your uniform off of you, would your confidence also go with the uniform? If someone took the hat or the crown off your head, or the position or the title away from the front of your name, would the king still be there? That's the question. The idea is for the king to be there regardless of what's going on in your life or anybody else's life around you. Do me a favor, write down every title or label that you've been called. Then underline only the ones that reflect your true essence. Get what I'm saying? Everything you've been called, every title you've had, everything, every position you have had and taken and filled, write them all down. Now, mark the ones that really reflect the essence of who you are. Cross out everything that was performance and not purpose. Do that for yourself. That is going to help you see who you really are, who you really aren't, and who you need to be. Because you'll never feel comfortable in your calling if you're still confused about your name. Who is inside? So listen, my call to action for you, what I really want you to do right now is I want you to describe yourself just in the comments. In the comments, tell us all who you are. Give us all an interest in what your title is. Who am I? I'm the Dreamkeeper. Who am I? I'm the Kingmaker. That's who I am, regardless of whether I have a throne, regardless of whether I have a title, regardless of whether I have a crown. The titles aren't given to me. You can take those titles, you can ignore those titles. I don't introduce myself at those titles, but that's who I am in every room that I walk into. I'm the guy who's keeping the dream, and my dream is making kings. That's it. That's who I am. And I'm the king of that. Number two, this is very important. When we start talking about the King's Code and knowing yourself and who you are, we have to talk about the battle of belonging. The battle of belonging. This is really important. If you're going to be the king of anything, you're going to have to know where you belong. Why? You cannot really represent being a king of something or a kingdom of something that you're reigning over if you're not convinced you belong to it. What am I saying? No, nothing can carry you if you don't feel like you're in the right place. You can't act like you're in the right place. People will know it. Everybody will know what your spot is when you get into it. Where do you belong? Where do you belong? The best idea and the best example of this is also, it can be found in the corporate world, it can be found other places, but I like using, especially for this one, characters who might be in the Bible. I love the character of Moses. Here's the thing. If you don't know you belong there, if you don't feel like you belong there, you can't be the king there because you're not convinced. Moses was not convinced. In other words, he grew up in Pharaoh's palace. He grew up there, but he wasn't born there. Did he feel like he fit there? He didn't know where he fit. For most of his life, he lived in the palace with Pharaoh as the son of Pharaoh's sister, but he still didn't know where he was from. And he felt that the whole time. He felt like, I don't really belong here. He spent 40 years running from both worlds. He spent 40 years in this space where he didn't really know himself. Was he too Egyptian to be Hebrew? Or was he too Hebrew to be Egyptian? He didn't know. He had to deal with this for most of his life until he was called. When he was called and announced, his first response was, "Yes, Lord, I was who I am." He's saying to God, I don't know who I am, but you're telling me who I am. I'm the son of Hebrews. I grew up in the king's house. I grew up in the king's house, in Pharaoh's house, but I'm not a part of that family really. When he found out who he really was, when he found out who he really was, that's when everything changed. He could say, I know who I am. I know what my assignment is. He became king of an assignment. Let me stop here and say, you may be in that same position, that conflict in your life. And you've really got to ask yourself, you really got to talk to yourself and tell yourself who you really are. You got to find that, because all that confusion around your life comes because you don't know. What did that do for Moses. What it did for him is it made him very insecure. It does the same to you. Insecurity delays destiny. When you're insecure about who you are, it delays your destiny because you won't go for it like a king. Belonging isn't about location, it's about conviction. What conviction do you have about something on the planet and you refuse to give it up? You try to walk away from it, you can't walk away from it. You go to sleep with it on your mind, you wake up with it on your mind. That's what you're supposed to be king of and king over. So here's what I want you to do. Think of one environment where you shrink. You shrink in this environment. When you're there, you go into the corners. You want to be a fly. You want to be a flower on the wall. You can't fit there at all, right? What environment is that for you? Name that environment. Walk into that space you don't feel comfortable in. You shrink back. You say nothing. You're tense. You're afraid. You're apprehensive. You're waiting for someone to give you permission to be you. Walk into that space the next time with your shoulders back, your head high, and your identity intact. Walk into that room. Stop visiting where you were sent to rule. Prep yourself by knowing who you are and acknowledging where you belong and realizing you must take your place. That's what you do. Walk into the next room and simply be you. Don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to know something you're not. Don't try to be an expert in something that you're not, but walk in that room as an expert in being you. Right? Now, this is what I want you to do for me. I want you to do it for everyone else who's watching us. Do me a favor. Right there in the comments, write it right now saying, I'm going to be me when I walk into the next room. I'm going to rule in places where I belong, and I'm going to stop asking for permission. That might be a little long, but write something in the comments like that. I'm going to rule where I belong. I'm done asking for permission. I'm going to wear my crown, sit on my throne in every spot I go to where I belong. Last thing, the world doesn't need more successful people. It just needs secure people. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe and watch the next video.